I'm about to get creative with some stuff. But I just wanted to talk about something that I feel that I'm learning to do, but I'm also kind of seeing this same lesson play out in other people's lives that are in my life. And so I thought, you know what, maybe this would be a good thing to talk about, because I realized I gave a friend this advice recently, but then I wasn't really specific about what the fuck that even means. So I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and elaborate on that a little bit for the collective. And that is getting caught up in relationships, any kind of relationship, right? This applies to just people in general, and worrying what the fuck other people are doing. I feel like a lot of times this plays out with romantic relationships a little bit more intensely. And that is when we are hurting over somebody or stressing about somebody, or for whatever reason, somebody else is taking up a huge part of our mental bandwidth and emotional bandwidth. I don't know. They're just taking up a lot of our attention, right? In a maybe not so pleasant way. You know, maybe you miss somebody, or maybe somebody is doing something that bothers you, or just whatever, for whatever reason, you are experiencing unpleasant emotions related to another person. And what I told my friend is to just focus on bringing the attention and the energy back to you. And I think that there's ways that we can elaborate on that, because I can understand how you can hear something like that and be like, well, what the fuck does that even mean? I'm trying to do that, but it's not really. I just got a text message that's distracting me. Sounds easier said than done, maybe. So what I am finding is helpful to me is a couple things. One is to sometimes feel into the emotion that is coming up, right? Instead of pushing it away or trying to avoid it or trying to distract myself from it, which that is valid. Sometimes we need to distract ourselves from it. But instead of pushing it away in any sort of way, I try to feel into it, bring it into my body, not into the mind. Don't get swirling out on it in your mind. Feel it in your body, and where the pain, likely it's probably, that's kind of the experience that I'm talking about, where the pain is located, and just give it your attention in that space. Just feel it. Don't write a story about it. Don't really think about it at all. Just feel it. And sometimes some information will come up from it. Sometimes you'll just be with it, and then it will pass. And it will likely pass faster than you think it will, but if you think too much about that, then I feel like it creates some sort of resistance around it, or it still creates the energy of dismissing it or wanting it to go away, and we can't do that. So you have to go into it with the intention of, I am going to spend as much time with you as you need. Okay, so don't go into it feeling or thinking oh, I'm going to be with this and I'm just so it can pass fast. It's commit yourself to the feeling of it, and I'm going to be with you until you don't need me with you anymore, until it passes, right? And usually that will, just doing that alone will lead me on some sort of path of what I know I need to do for myself next. But if you need some sort of ideas, and I don't want to make this about the doing either, because that gets really tricky. I see people do that. It's because what I'm about to say is some stuff that you can do, but I think sometimes people can overcorrect with that also, of then you're just running yourself ragged in the doing, and the doing is something that you're trying to use to escape the being, the feeling, right? So you got to be careful. And I think that's why it's a good idea to be with it first and then listen to whatever information or instructions come up from there and follow that. Because sometimes it is nothing. Sometimes the doing is nothing. But I think that anytime you get in a thing about another person, a good way to get through that, a good way to bring the energy back to yourself is to just do something for yourself and for your own healing. Something that will make you feel better, right? Like, it can be as superficial as going to get your hair done, going to get your nails done, going to like treat yourself in some way like that. Do I have a hair on my glasses? Yeah, it's coming down from my face. Sorry if that was driving you crazy for however long that was there. Or it can be as simple as going for a walk, going and sitting outside, which is a big one that I'm doing lately. I'm spending a lot of time when it's not raining out, which I'm going to try and, figure out a way to make that happen no matter the weather. But, go to the water, go to the trees, go sit with something outside and be with it and just listen. And I know that is a little too woo-woo for some people, but it's working for me, and I'm sure it will work for somebody. But if that's a little too woo-woo for you, then I would go with, what is something that you can do for yourself right now? Instead of focusing on this thing that is like literally not even it's not in front of you right now. So for whatever reason, because it's gone, it means you don't fucking need it right now. If you needed it, if you were supposed to have it, it would be here, right? So it is gone. So what is here is you and what is actually around you. So what can you do right now to nurture yourself, to love yourself, to care for yourself? Maybe it is simply laying down and resting. For me, this is a lot too, because I don't often let myself actually rest, and I'm trying to be better about that. But sometimes for me, it's literally like, why don't you go lay the fuck down and like watch a TV show? Like, just chill, Go take a shower, go take a hot shower, go take a bath. Go read your book. Go get some good food. Or like what I'm doing right now, I'm gonna cut up some magazines and keep working on this notebook that I've been working on, that I've been kind of documenting my process in, and turning into a work of art. Work on a creative project. Pour yourself into something else, something for yourself, something that makes you feel good. And every time you get worked up about that, almost ran out of time there. Every time you get worked up about this thing that's no longer in your presence, go switch to something that's for you, and pour yourself into that. And if you are actually being present with yourself instead of using these tasks to escape from yourself, there will always be a next right step that makes itself known to you. And so you just keep following that. And the more you learn to hear, to listen and hear what you're being told, what you're being guided to do, the easier it becomes, the louder it becomes, the more you will realize that there's something there for you in that instruction, right? And I know sometimes it is so hard. Sometimes you are trudging through the mud in this. Sometimes it's not the easiest. The thing I want to say is, I want to say it's not the easiest thing, but I feel like it is the easiest thing if you allow it. Like, don't force yourself to do something that you feel like you should do. So, for example, last night I had a moment where I felt like, oh, I should go, work on my art. I want to go. This is a project that I've been working on, and I want to get it done, kind of in a certain time frame. But I'm also like leaving it open to like, it's loose, right? So last night when I was having a moment like this, I was like, oh, I should go like work on my thing, maybe that'll be helpful. But it was like, no, I think I'm a little too deep in the hurt, and I don't feel like being creative. I don't feel like putting energy into something else at all. Even if it is something that's like for me, it's like there was no energy to be flowing outward into anything at that moment. And so what I did was I made a YouTube video and just talked, and I got it out. And then it was a very long video, so I went through, and it took me quite some time. And I was kind of trying to kill some time for reasons that don't matter, but I was trying to kill some time. So I was like, let's just go back through it, and I'll just cut out all the empty space, and and I'll post it to the internet, and maybe it will be useful to somebody, maybe it won't, but it was useful to me. It did what I needed it to do in that moment, and it took up the time that I needed it to take up. And then I just laid down and I watched some trash TV. It's like the medicine is different all the time, and what works for one person in one particular situation is not what's going to work for others, because, there's a flip side to that too, of like, sometimes when you're deep in depression, it's like, there comes a point where you do got to get up and do something that feels a little like trudging through the mud to do it. So I don't want to say that is always the answer. You have to listen to yourself. And sometimes it is just the easiest path of least resistance thing. And sometimes it is the, slow trudging through the mud kind of thing. But you have to determine for yourself what is best for you in that moment. And you will know, you will know what feels right for you in that moment if you're listening. So my point is, like, let's not spend too much time giving our energy away to things, to people, places, and things that for lack of a less harsh way to say this, that don't want us, right? We're not getting any sort of reciprocal return on that point of focus. So let's shift it into what we need. What do I need in this moment? And through the process of continuing to do that over time, you will heal, and this thing that you were once so focused on, you grow beyond it, right? You expand much bigger than it, and it will eventually become less of a thorn in your side, right? It's like you can use it as a path, a map back to yourself. I mean, that's what everything is anyways. It's not about them. It's about you. It's not about them. It's about what they're mirroring back to you, right? So use it. Use that information to come back to yourself. Whatever that is, because they're telling you something. That thing is telling you something. It's making you aware of something. A lot of times, for example, like jealousy is simply just telling us what we want, what our desires are, making us aware of that is a thing that I want. So instead of focusing on that person having it, let's acknowledge that that's a thing that I want, and how can I have that thing? Maybe you should ask that person how they got that thing. Maybe they will tell you how you can also have that thing. Or like insecurity, right? Like insecurity a lot of times is just making you aware of something that you feel that you lack or need. You know, it's telling you a truth about yourself that needs attention. And that can be different, which is why I'm having a hard time talking about it, because it could be a variety of things, but there's something there that's going unmet that you can then begin to address once you're made aware of it. You know, or like anger. Anger a lot of times is just covering up hurt, pain, wounding. There's something under the anger. They say like anger is like a secondary emotion, I think. There's something under there that is hurt, that's wounded, that needs tending to. So yeah, a lot of times when people are showing us things or triggering things within ourselves, there's information there that we can gather about ourselves and how we can better care for ourselves. And so that's what I mean by continuing to redirect back to ourselves. And then the experience of life really changes drastically. You just keep getting better and better, you know? It's like with every hurt, if you really become unfuckwithable in a way, because it's like you might trigger an emotional reaction in me, but what I do with that is alchemy. That rhymes. What I do with that only makes me better. You're not going to bring me down. You're not going to tear me down, because I'm going to use that shit as fuel for my fire. And so really everything just becomes for your benefit. It's like anything that anybody could throw at you, it's like, thanks, just gonna keep building my fire over here, you know? So I hope that's helpful for somebody. I'm gonna get back to my task here.